Let me ask you something direct. If an auditor walked into your organization tomorrow and asked to see your AI governance program, what would you show them? In my experience working with organizations across financial services, healthcare, and tech, most would struggle to answer that question. Not because they haven't tried, but because governance gaps tend to be invisible until someone with a checklist starts looking. That's exactly what this video is about. 10 specific mistakes that consistently fail AI audits. And more importantly, what you can do about each one before the auditor finds it first. In the next few minutes, we're going to move through 10 real governance gaps, the exact issues that come up in EU AI Act assessments, ISO 42001 audits, and NIST AI RMF reviews. For each mistake, we'll look at three things: what the problem actually is, why it creates audit risk, and the practical fix you can start implementing right away. This isn't theory, these are patterns I've seen play out in real governance reviews. By the end, you'll know exactly where your program might be exposed and what to prioritize. Let's get into mistake number one. Here's a question that sounds simple, but trips up most organizations. Can you name every AI system currently in use across your business? Not just the ones IT built. Every tool, every vendor platform, every automated process. Most can't, and that's the first audit failure. Auditors expect a complete, maintained inventory of all AI systems, their purpose, risk level, data sources, and named owner. When that register doesn't exist, the auditor's conclusion is clear. If you don't know what AI you're running, you can't possibly be governing it. The fix is straightforward. Build a living AI register. Review it on a defined schedule. You cannot govern what you cannot see. So you have a list of AI systems. Good, but here's the next question. Do you know which ones are high risk? Because if every system is treated with the same level of oversight, your highest risk AI is effectively unmanaged. Think about the difference between a spam filter and an AI that makes credit decisions. Both are AI, the governance requirements couldn't be more different. The EU AI Act gives us a clear tiered model: unacceptable risk, high risk, limited risk, minimal risk. HR systems, credit scoring, biometric tools, high risk, chatbots and recommendation engines, limited risk. Every system in your register needs a documented risk tier. Without it, every risk is unmanaged. I've seen this one more times than I can count. An organization has an AI policy, looks great on paper, but ask who owns it and you get a shrug. Or worse, three different departments, each assuming it belongs to someone else. Here's the hard truth. Ownership isn't a formality, it's a control. When no one is explicitly named as the AI governance lead, policies go unsigned, risks go unreviewed, and when an auditor asks who is accountable, the silence is itself the finding. The fix is simple but non-negotiable. Name a person, define their responsibilities in the policy, document the governance committee structure, assign formal sign-off. Ownership on paper is the first step to ownership in practice. Imagine an AI system making decisions about loan approvals, medical triage, or job shortlisting with zero human involvement in the loop. Input goes in, output comes out. No checkpoint, no review, no override mechanism. For auditors assessing against the EU AI Act or ISO 42001, this is a fundamental red flag. Article 14 of the EU AI Act is explicit. High-risk AI systems must have meaningful human oversight. That means named reviewers, documented escalation thresholds, and maintained override logs. It's not enough to say a human could intervene, you need to prove they do. The fix is to insert human review checkpoints into your AI workflows and document them properly. In audit work, there is a phrase that gets repeated constantly. If it isn't documented, it didn't happen. And AI governance is no different. Auditors expect a paper trail across the full AI lifecycle. Use case register, risk assessment, data lineage, model card, testing results, incident log, 6 documents, each one covering a different stage of the AI journey. When I've reviewed organizations' AI programs, the most common gap isn't that governance didn't happen, it's that nobody recorded it. The fix is to build documentation into your process from day one, not as an afterthought, not before the audit, as a standard operating procedure for every AI system you deploy. Here's a real scenario. A large retailer deploys an AI hiring tool. Nobody runs structured bias testing before launch. 6 months in, the tool is systematically downgrading applications from certain demographic groups. The organization didn't intend discrimination. The data carried it in, and now they have both an ethical crisis and an audit finding. Bias isn't just an ethical issue, it's a measurable control failure. The fix has 3 steps. Define your fairness metrics before deployment. Test outputs across demographic and protected categories. Document findings and any remediation taken. EU AI Act Article 9, NIST AI RMF MAP 1.5, and ISO 42001 all require this. Start testing before you deploy, not after. This one catches organizations off guard every time. They assume if we didn't build the AI, we're not responsible for its governance. Auditors disagree entirely. Think about how many AI tools your employees are already using. ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, recruitment platforms, analytics tools, every single one of those carries risk. And if your vendor's model produces a biased, erroneous, or non-compliant output, the audit finding lands on your organization, not theirs. The fix is to treat third-party AI like internal AI, conduct vendor risk assessments, add AI governance clauses to contracts, maintain a third-party AI register. Your vendor's AI risk is your audit risk. Full stop. So what happens when your AI system produces something harmful? A biased decision, a hallucinated output presented as fact, a privacy violation? If your answer is, we'll figure it out when it happens, that's the problem. Without a defined response plan, every AI incident becomes an uncontrolled crisis. Auditors want to see a documented, tested plan, detect the issue, contain the exposure, investigate root cause, remediate, conduct a post-incident review. ISO 42001, Clause 10.2, and EU AI Act, Article 73, both expect this. Build the plan now, test it annually, because the question isn't whether an AI incident will happen, it's whether you'll be ready when it does. This is one of the most common mindset errors I encounter. An organization does a governance review, produces a policy, runs a risk assessment, and then considers AI governance done. 12 months later, the AI system has evolved, regulations have changed, new use cases have been deployed, and the governance program is frozen in time. Auditors call this snapshot compliance, and it fails every time. Real AI compliance follows a continuous life cycle. Deploy, monitor, review, update, audit, improve, then repeat. ISO 42001, Clause 10, and NIST AI RMF Governance 6 are both explicit about this. Governance isn't a project with a finish line, it's an ongoing program. Here's the final mistake, and it's the one that undermines everything else. You can have the best AI policy in the world, but if the people using AI tools every day don't know it exists, don't understand the risks, and don't know how to report a problem, your controls are bypassed before they even get a chance to work. Shadow AI use is the result. Employees reaching for unauthorized tools because nobody told them the rules. Auditors treat this as a people risk control failure. The fix is mandatory, role differentiated AI training. Not a generic e-learning tick box. Role-specific training, documented completion records, renewed annually. Your people are your first AI control. Train them accordingly. Let's bring all 10 together. AI register in place, risk classification model defined, governance ownership assigned, human oversight mechanisms documented, full lifecycle documentation maintained, bias and fairness testing conducted, third-party AI risk assessed, incident response plan defined and tested, continuous compliance program active, employee training implemented. That's your readiness checklist. If you can check off 8 to 10, you're in a strong governance posture. 4 to 7 means your foundation exists but gaps remain. 0 to 3 means significant audit exposure. Be honest with yourself. Where are you right now? And more importantly, which gaps are you going to close first? The organizations that pass AI audits aren't the ones with perfect programs. They're the ones who found their own gaps first and fixed them. That's the whole point of this video. You now know the 10 mistakes. You know the fixes. The only question is whether you act on it before the auditor arrives. The free AI governance checklist is linked in the description. Download it and use it to assess your program today. If you want to go deeper, the full AI governance and audit readiness course on Udemy walks through every framework and control in detail. Subscribe for weekly content on AI, cybersecurity, and data privacy, and I'll see you in the next one.